So from Game 1 in Cleveland to Game 7 here in Boston, it's been one heck of a ride covering this team. Woo. Fellas, I'm sure you both would agree with me on that.
It's been a ride.
Thoughts, obviously looking forward, looking back at what we saw throughout the season. Obviously, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, two guys that were put into humongous roles and not only thrived, but surprised a lot of people in the process.
As frustrated and salty as you have been this evening, Jimmy.
Very.
If anyone said on opening night that the Boston Celtics would be playing Game 7 against the Cleveland Cavaliers without Gordon Hayward, without Kyrie Irving, without Tice, without even Larkin, I think they would call us insane.
You actually are insane, but
look at the smile.
I know exactly what you mean. I mean,
that the fake smile.
Creepy look.
That the face.
There's
the
nobody,
fake smile.
there's nobody outside of the Celtics organization that actually thought that they had what it took to get where
Do you think the Celtics organization even thought they did?
I mean, I think some of the players maybe do. I mean, they believe in themselves. I mean, Brad Stevens is always talking about how he won't put like caps on certain situations. So I think part of them believe. I think you have to believe in yourself if you're going to get this far. So sure, but everybody else.
When are you going to start believing in me?
It's a topic for another day. Everybody else.
That's a whole video in itself.
That's a whole other video. It's a whole other segment.
I mean, they totally outperformed throughout. I think that we all underestimated some of the talent that these guys had, and we didn't expect Tatum and Brown to really grow up in front of our eyes in this season. We knew they get extended playing time after the injuries, but we didn't know to what extent. So that's obviously a huge silver lining and a positive. But yeah, I mean, I think you're obviously disappointed in the way it ended because having watched them get this far, you knew they could go further. And so when they didn't, you think, oh, this kind of sucks. Right. But when you look at the entire season, you can't be disappointed after everything they've been through.
Yeah, I think mental toughness was a common theme throughout the postseason. Totally. You know, these guys were really pushed to the brink, obviously against the Bucks, a grueling 7-game series that I think really pushed them with a certain mindset that Philadelphia just couldn't handle in that second round. And that made all the difference, you know, for them to close that out the way they did. I think, you know, when you look back, the fact that they were one win away from the NBA Finals, that's something that I don't think could have been predicted or a lot of people anticipated. Right. But the fact that it still happened and they had a 3-2 lead just speaks volumes for just how mentally focused these young guys can be. When it came down to it, again, you know, late game execution, LeBron James being LeBron James, I mean, that's going to happen to almost every other NBA team. But for the Celtics to do what they did was still obviously very, very impressive.
Joe Sway just mentioned to you, Jimmy, what does that mean for the future? I mean, I know I'm giddy. I'm just flat out giddy about when Brad Stevens said,
"Fact."
Well, you know I've been. Well,
Nick is more giddy than he was the day before the season opener. Because remember how giddy you were?
I was very giddy.
And
until
then remember
the injury.
how you were almost in tears.
Yes.
But
the point
giddy is one word I would actually use to describe this guy.
Yeah. So anyway,
the season's over.
So the season is over. Done. It was like so.
This team is not even going to make the playoffs.
My point here is that all this experience and everything else, like I said, I'm giddy about what's coming up. Brad Stevens, when he said, I like giddy. So when Brad Stevens said he was asked about, you know, looking forward and he didn't want to do it, and then he kind of backtracked and said, you know what, give me a day or two, but I can tell you right now, training camp couldn't come quick enough. Jimmy, what can we expect?
Yeah, I mean, a boatload of wins I would expect. I mean, you think about it, who's going to have a better offseason than the Celtics, right?
You look kind of giddy.
I'm not as giddy as you are, but I am.
I think it's like
you know,
the 12th time that
I would
that
say,
word's been said.
I can't say that word. We're not going to talk about Foxhole either.
Let him finish, Nick.
But listen, I mean, you're getting Hayward back. You good, bro? Can you just chill for 1 second? I know it's late, but damn. We're getting Hayward back. They're getting Irving back. I mean, what team is going to add 2 players of that caliber to a already playoff caliber team to begin with? So, for me, I mean, if you look at, obviously you get to see how things shake out with LeBron here. But I think regardless of what happens to every other team in the offseason, the Celtics are going in at the very least as an Eastern Conference favorite, right? I mean, maybe the Warriors still, if the Warriors go on and win the finals, maybe they're the favorite to repeat, even with the Celtics bringing guys back. But I think you got to look at the Celtics and say, wow, I mean, this team is stacked. Yeah. Health is obviously going to be a topic because that's always the X factor in the wild card. But they bring the band back together. Smart's a toss-up. We don't know how that's going to happen. But if you bring everybody else back, they're already like light years ahead of a ton of teams in the NBA.
Absolutely.
What? No, I was just going to say, injuries aside, when you talk about injuries, I think we've seen from this season they're deep enough to deal with some injuries throughout the season, and also offer guys like Kyrie the rest that he's going to need next season from time to time. Kyrie's never going to be an 80-game-a-year player, I don't think. They thought that with him ever coming in. Yeah, the future's bright, guys. It's bright.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's going to do it for us here at TD Garden. I am Joseph Pavone. He is Jimmy Toscano, Nick Gelso,
Giddy.
CLNS Media.